Bengals take on the 49ers. We'll be speaking with Eric Crocker coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm AC Zell.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. Dan Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still going to give you the same AJ.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I got to get your top 5 receivers.
Better, man.
Good. Watch out for us.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I am Ace with my partner, Zem. Zem, what's going on, fam?
Not much, man. Chilling, running around town, trying to get everything in order. Feeling really good about everything that we got coming up, particularly this show. I just feel, like we on to some good stuff. I've been watching a bunch of Bengals stuff earlier today, where the players seem like they dialed in. So, for us, I feel like we got to get dialed into.
Nah, for sure. It's a big week. Bengals coming off of a bye. Typically, we haven't really brought on, opposing teams' guests to kind of break this stuff down. So it's dope that we're going to be able to do that. So we will be bringing on LockedOn 49ers, Eric Crocker, to discuss the game. So we'll get into that coming up next.
Hey, what's up, Bengals fans? Mike Hilton. I'm on the Wincinnati pod with Ace and Zim.
All right, we're going to bring in my man, Eric Crocker, representing the 49ers. Eric, what's good, my guy?
What's good with y'all, man? I feel like I'm in enemy territory, behind enemy lines, all that, but this should be a good one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of history between these two teams, fam, but we glad to get you on and get some of that insight. Obviously, with the 49ers coming off the 2 losses, that was a shock to me. I'm pretty sure a lot of 49ers Nation. How are you guys feeling based off of these last 2 losses, and how are you looking at this Bengals game?
Oh, man, I think there are a lot of 49er fans worried. First, I want to start by saying one of my guys, I do, like you said, Locked On 49ers. And every Wednesday, we have our guy, Nicholas Winkler. He comes on for Winky Wednesdays. And Wink, before the season, made a prediction that the 49ers would go far and I think hoisted Lombardi and all that. But he also said the 49ers would start off 5-0 and then go on a 3-game losing streak to Cleveland, Minnesota, and Cincinnati. I don't know why he said that. I remember thinking it was kind of wild at the time. But so far in his predictions, he's 7-0, and this would be the 3rd game of that losing streak. So I think 49er fans are really kind of a little worried about, whether it's the pass defense, the secondary, the defense as a whole. I think Wilkes, the 49ers defensive coordinator, he's under fire right now. And then you have Brock Purdy, who is in concussion protocol, and you don't even know if he's going to play. So right. A lot of different moving pieces that kind of point towards, 49er fans hitting that panic button right now.
I feel like everybody, like we're in the whole Twitter space kind of, which is its own world separate than the podcast world and stuff. And me and Ace kind of did like some stuff. I got a little bit of a temperature check on a couple people. And I felt like for the most part, the urgency was there. And I understand what you all are saying. But I guess on our end, even though we have won 3 out of the last 4, I guess we're 2 teams in the same ballpark. It's like Super Bowl or bust. And I don't think that like 49er fans is like catching the Bengals haven't been playing good at all on offense. So that panic button that you're saying most of our fan bases have for most of the year. And I thought like us watching the game, I guess a lot of people came to like quick things and saying like, man, like I think we could beat. And I'm like, look, this is one of the best teams in the NFL. And I thought like some of the things that I saw in the game, like you talked about Wilkes being under fire. I thought for most of the game, though, I thought you all controlled the game. I thought that you had more explosive plays. And I thought like if you didn't know any better, I would have thought that the 49ers would have won that game like outside of like the big plays, I guess, that Kirk Cousins had like somewhere down the stretch. What is the main thing that you feel like is the cuts or the reason why everybody feels like the panic outside of just losing 2 games straight?
I think there's just a bunch of different reasons. You got to, think about it, right? Through 5 weeks, 49ers really just were on top of the world on offense and on defense. And that's why it's so weird that Wilkes is under fire right now, because through 5 weeks, 49ers had the best defense in the NFL. And you also had like one of the best and highest scoring offenses in the NFL. And then you go to Cleveland, and that was one of those games where it's like, okay, weird weather conditions. In the middle of the game, you lose Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. So you could see how maybe that kind of game could get away from you, even though you're playing against third-string quarterback PJ Walker. Probably should still win, but regardless, like you could see how you can have somewhat of a letdown.
Bro. It happened to us. Like last year, the same thing. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you.
To follow that up with the worst performance, and we say worst performance. Like I just got off of LockedOn 49ers. And my biggest thing was like 49ers gave up 22 points. Like it's not like they gave up 50 points, 48 points, 30-something points. It was a game where you were within striking distance and you fell short. And my biggest issue is you fell short in a league that's catered towards offense, that the way they call games, the spacing of it, the referees, everything is catered towards the offense being able to be more explosive, put up more points. And you're only able to muster 17 points over the last 2 weeks for whatever reason. So I think it's kind of been weird because it's been like different games and they lost different ways, as opposed to just losing one way and thinking like, okay, we're just super weak in this area. We don't really even know what to expect now when the 49ers go and play Cleveland, because it has been so weird. But then I'm hearing on y'all end that, the explosive passing plays hasn't quite been there. Joe Burrow, we know he started the season off with a bad calf injury. And I remember Jamar Chase saying, hey, man, chill for the first 5 weeks, let it heal, and then come back. Well, he didn't do that, and there's been some, up and down, mostly kind of down play from Joe Burrow, and the offense hasn't been clicking. So at least y'all could say, man, at some point we know we'll get back to ourselves and play Bengals football offensively. The 49ers right now really can't pinpoint what the issue has been over the last 2 weeks.
So you kind of talked about Wilkes taking over the defense, and I agree with you. I felt like the 49ers were one of the top units in football, but one thing that's kind of been lacking has been the pass rush, and there has been some issues with the secondary. What are like the main differences? Is it personnel? Is it that he's changing it up? Because I didn't expect him to really change up much of a successful defense and scheme that you guys had last season. Have you noticed any changes that have kind of changed this season with Wilkes?
Well, the crazy thing is with the defense, Kyle Shanahan is kind of really the defensive coordinator. He handpicks all his guys, whether it was Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh got the job with the 49ers because Kyle Shanahan wanted a specific defense. He wanted that Seattle 3 scheme, and he wanted somebody that came from that. So first he tried to get Bradley because Bradley went somewhere else. So he ended up going to get Robert Saleh, who nobody knew, but he was with the Seahawks for a while, then was in Jacksonville as a linebacker coach, then came to the 49ers as a defensive coordinator. With him, he brought DeMeco Ryans as well. So you had Saleh throughout his tenure, who Kyle Shanahan handpicked and wanted him to play a certain style of defense. And then he brought in, hired DeMeco Ryans to take over. And again, hey, I want it ran this way. And then when DeMeco's got a head coaching job, he was like, all right, I'm going to go find somebody. Okay, Wilkes, come on, Wilkes. But Wilkes, I want you to play defense this way. So there hasn't been much change in the sense of how they view things. There over the years, the philosophy has changed from a single high defense to more of a 2 high shell cover 4 quarters type defense. But ultimately, I think Wilkes does a good job of mixing it up. I think he maybe brought a lot of pressure. The biggest difference I would say is probably the D line isn't really getting home, more specifically Nick Bosa. And last year, when the defensive line wasn't quite getting there, you could always count on Nick Bosa disrupting the game or having a forced fumble or a sack or something. That hasn't been there this year. And because of that, you have a game like last week where you get 0 sacks in a game, which never happens for the 49ers. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference. Nick Bosa, maybe after the holdout throughout OTAs, training camp, and all the preseason, maybe not quite being the Nick Bosa that we've known him to be, which was Defensive Player of the Year last season.
Yeah, there's a lot of different highlights I think in this game. Like I kind of wanted this to be like a conversation piece where like I'm kind of giving you some info on our stuff, because I feel like when I was kind of talking about those Twitter Spaces things, it's like on our end, we don't really know that much about the 49ers in regards to like what, I mean, I guess it different than what everybody just tells us, right? And then it was like the conversations about Purdy. There were the conversations about Bosa. And I thought like one of the things that you're going to see us talk about a lot, very similar to like how you're saying about Bosa, is Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson isn't a guy that I think gets a lot of like national publicity, but it's the same thing with us. I thought last year we weren't getting any pressure at all and we weren't getting a lot of sacks. But anytime that we did, it's only been Trey Hendrickson. But fast forward to this year, I thought the one bright spot that we do have right now is that some of the other guys on the defensive line are starting to get way more pressure. They're getting a lot more sacks. Now, a lot of people chalk it up to playing against a lesser than offensive line. I thought that Seahawks offensive line was like in bad shape. We knocked down Geno like 16 times, like 4 sacks. Yeah. It like, I'm just keeping it a buck. Charles Cross came back, but I don't know if that's a good matchup because Trey Hendrickson has that bend to him. And it's just a lot of different things. I think on our end, the Bengals are looking to come and make sure that Trey Hendrickson can disrupt the game. But Trent Williams, being the best left tackle in football, is a big point. Do you anticipate Trent Williams playing? I've seen the injury report, seen that he was like limited or something at one point. What do you think that matchup looks like? And do you think that he plays?
You know, he's one of the big pieces of the 49ers offensive line. You know, there's some youth there. You got McKivitz. It's his first year starting at right tackle. You got Spencer Burford. He's at right guard. This is year 2 for him. But even as a rookie, he rotated in and out with Daniel Brunskill. And then from the center to the left guard and then the left tackle, hopefully it is Trent Williams. There's been a lot of inexperience. So Trent Williams, you hope he's out there. He's been one to battle through injuries and play if he can. It was a little surprising to see that he missed last week with an ankle sprain, which leads me to believe that it might be worse than just an ankle sprain and more of a high ankle sprain, which we know that, I mean, that kind of can sit you down for 4 to 6 weeks. So, you know, to see him out, I think they might be kind of sugarcoating the extent of his injury. So I don't know. And you have the bye week coming up. So are they going to say, all right, you missed this week, we're going to let you miss this next week, and then you have the bye week, and then you come back, and now you should be better for it? That's what I would expect. But if he's out there right now and he's kind of limited, that kind of points in the direction of him potentially playing in the game. Because last week, I don't think he practiced at all. I think he was a non-participant in every practice.
I had to actually real quick, Ace, when we talking about this the other day, or I thought it was like Eric, it was our Bengals Eric or whatever. But when we just asking them, like, I don't, and for everybody that doesn't know Eric Crocker, he's a former player too. The ankle injury, it was somebody else that we was talking about, Ace. Who was that? If they had an ankle injury and they were like saying it was like so crazy. And I was like, bro, that's like 2 weeks, unless it's a high ankle sprain. Like, isn't that like kind of abnormal though? Like, you being a former player, you know what I mean? Like, who was that we was talking about? Do you remember, Ace?
I'm not sure.
I've suffered. I've dealt with both, you know, and in my playing career, I actually never missed a game due to injury until my very last year playing. And in that year, I did both ankle sprains, a regular ankle sprain and then that high ankle sprain where there's kind of the fracture and then damage of the ligaments. So the regular ankle sprain, man, I get done with the game. You know, you take that tape off, ankle swollen, looks like a tennis ball is on the side of my foot, right? So like, you know, like a lot of pain there or whatever, but you rehab through it throughout the week. They got you walking around on your tippy toes, you know, spelling the alphabet and everything. You work it out. Then all of a sudden for the game, I'm good to go. High ankle sprain was drastically different. Originally, they just thought I had a regular ankle sprain, but at practice, you know, I was kind of doing some things. I'm collapsing on the ground, like where, you know, I'm like, man, there is just something not right here. I could run full speed straight ahead, but any type of movement laterally would just drop me like to the ground. So then they had to go in and do another x-ray, and they realized there was a hairline fracture, and then there was damage of the ligaments, which was causing me to like randomly collapse when I try to break one way or the other. And that's something that, you know, obviously there's different grades of the high ankle sprain, but you would you know, I don't know exactly to the extent of his because they haven't really been forthright with whatever's going on. But there is definitely a difference between a high ankle sprain and a regular ankle sprain in the sense of the severity, the pain, which I thought when I got the high ankle sprain, I thought I snapped. I thought I was going to look down and see my ankle like snapped to the side, like Dak Prescott or Trey Lance or something. Regular ankle sprain, you just know you rolled it real bad.
No, for sure. You kind of mentioned earlier the Bengals' lack of explosive plays. Obviously, that's something that the 49ers kind of thrive on in that Shanahan offense, right? Is to take those big shots. But without Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold stepping into that role, do you still see?
We don't know quite yet. We don't know yet. Because Brock Purdy was at practice. He was a limited participant. He had a helmet on and was throwing and So we don't know for certain that he won't play.
Right. Okay. Well, with that being said, like if it is Sam Darnold or if it is Brock Purdy from what we've seen the last 2 weeks, do you still see this offense against the Bengals going with those explosive plays, or do you see them kind of leaning more toward on the zone run with Christian McCaffrey?
I think with Kyle Shanahan, he sees his offense being ran a certain way, and I think right now it just really goes through Christian McCaffrey. So I don't think it matters who's at quarterback, whether it's Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy. There's going to be a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey. Then they're going to do things to get him the ball in space, throwing him the ball. Really, I feel like a lot of the way that the 49ers utilize McCaffrey, Zach Taylor, that's your head coach, right? Zach Taylor. Yeah. He should just watch that and be like, all right, this is how we're going to use Joe Mixon. And then everyone else kind of play off of that. And it should open up a lot of downfield explosive throws to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like that's what you would assume because of Mixon's ability to not only run very well, he's quick, he's shifty, but he also is a terrific pass catcher. And I watched him 7-on-7 when he was in high school. Like I know he can do it all. So I'm surprised
things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay.
Now this is a thing that's happened between Bengals fans and whatever. Like there's a large amount of us that still like Mixon a lot. There's a large amount of people that don't believe him as much. I will say this: the explosiveness and the bounce and the twitchiness of a McCaffrey is not quite the same, but the catching ability is still there. And like you're saying, that is a big part of what the Bengals should be doing in the games that I thought like we've had success throughout this whole last 2 years of us going to a Super Bowl there. It always started with Mixon to some. It doesn't mean that he goes for 100 yards, but it could be 60 yards. But him keeping defenses honest is like a big portion of what I think they need to do. If they come out there and just think that they're going to throw because they like the matchups on the cornerbacks, I think that that's a big mistake. And I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, as far as the 49ers and kind of what they'll do at quarterback, just know that the 49ers run to set up the pass. So, if you're just going to let them run all day, then they will. But really, Kyle Shanahan just window dresses everything and gives you certain looks, and he'll show you a look and not even expect to get any yards out of it. And he'll show you it again, not expecting to get any yards out of it. And then when he shows you that same look again and you bite, that's when you all of a sudden the quarterback is a play action and he hits somebody. And a lot of times they really like Deebo Samuel there, where you see this huge gaping run after catch. Fortunately for y'all, Deebo won't be playing. So,
nah, for sure. From your perspective, like, what are some things about the Bengals that you would ask us that would be like concerning for the 49ers?
I would say just, and I've talked to y'all a little bit in spaces about this, but the vertical passing game for Cincinnati, where is that at? Because right now, especially you watch last game, Jordan Addison being able to win vertically down the field. They hit the tight end a lot, right? But I think what the 49ers are worried about, and specifically me, just matchups on the outside with Higgins and Jamar Chase. And, not having the greatest of cornerbacks, how do you slow those guys down and how you limit the explosive plays that we're used to seeing Cincinnati have? So where are they right now with being able to get those chunk plays and those explosive plays that we just saw? Was it last year or a couple years ago when the 49ers and Cincinnati played? 150 yards from Higgins, big game, multiple touchdowns from Jamar Chase. Is that passing game where it was at the last time the 49ers and Bengals played?
That's my favorite Joe Burrow game of all time, though. And then everybody be like, what in the hell? I'd be like, listen, think about this. And I pose this question to people all the time. You could feel like Brock Purdy is your quarterback, right? I seen the stat about the whole Shanahan not coming back from 8 points or whatever, which is insane, like never, ever, right? Think about that game. Burrow's down, 14 with like 9 minutes left or something like that? I don't know. Bro, that happens to Burrow all the time. And so when I explained that, I was explaining that to a 49ers fan. They was like, bro, you lost the game. But I'm like, that was the game, though. That so Bengals fans, like, that's the dude. Like, you do everything around him because no matter what the situation is, it's so many games. That's what the analytic games and all this other weird stuff that they play, like on Twitter, like Joe Burrow, fourth quarter touchdowns and stuff. Like, yeah, he was leading in all the games. Like, why would he throw the football? Joe Burrow is literally the reason why we get back in all of these games. But to your point, 2021, it was just like this crazy thing where people, just like Addison the other day, think that they could have single covered Jamar Chase. And then all these teams from week one, they just were throwing bombs. Like we played the Vikings first game ever, bomb, touchdown. And he did that all year. And a lot of people caught on, started changing the cover 2 shells, but they just beat it. They had so many different beaters for it. Like by the time we played you guys, our blocking scheme was a little bit better. So you had Joe Burrow coming off the torn ACL. It was on the pitch count. They started running different dagger concepts and different things like that. I think on the touchdown for the Ambry Thomas or whatever. But that was 2021. 2022, nobody let the Bengals get any single high. Like any team that played single high, we murdered them. Like the Falcons, the Jets, any team that played any single high. Think about the Bills. Their safety goes down. They play cover 3. Bengals just have a field day. Nobody plays us in cover 3 shells, any single high look at all. So it takes away all of those explosive plays, and we didn't have a tight end that really stretched the seams. So it's just the efficiency game. When Burrow comes back this year, he's hurt from the calf injury. So imagine trying to play this efficient game, but you can't extend plays. If you make a penalty or anything like that, you're behind the 8 ball. And you're like in 3rd and 12, you're in 2nd and 14, and you're trying to drop back, but you can't run. And I thought that was the main catalyst on why they haven't had any bigger plays. The last couple of weeks, we've seen them get better. Beginning of the Seahawks game, unstoppable, crazy, like 15 straight passes, 300. So it's like a mix of the two things. It's like an efficient offense. It's not really like this big deep threat vertical offense. It's just Jamar Chase probably breaking a tackle here or two, and he's an outstanding talent. Ace, do you have like a thought process on?
I would say, like you said, the cover 2 thing, they kind of struggled with it a little bit last year. Then they kind of figured it out after a few weeks. But I would say that this year, I felt like as soon as somebody threw up a cover 2, they wouldn't even take a shot at it at all. And Jamar Chase kind of came out and was like, I need some more go routes. Like we at least need to throw and take some more chances deep. And that kind of led to the I'm always open kind of situation. And I feel like they started to get back to it. And I think you'll see it. But I think if you guys come out with the too high shell, they have kind of learned to just take what the defense is giving them, and they will take stuff underneath, and they've kind of gotten used to that. So if you guys do give them the one-on-one, like on the out, like they taking it. But if it's not there, they might take the stuff underneath.
But you know what's so crazy about that though, Ace, though? I feel like most of the time the 49ers are so amazing. And Crocker, you tell me, am I wrong? I feel like they're so incredible on defense because the average quarterback isn't able to push the ball down the field. That's what was so incredible. I thought about like Cousins. Generally, the pressure's there. Check the ball down. Guess who's waiting for you? Fred Warner and Greenlaw, right? So, like, the Ravens have very athletic linebackers like that, too. To me, if Joe Burrow is going to be rushed and then take the check down, like how you're saying, it funnels it right into the 49ers' hands where their linebackers can go pursue.
For sure.
Ideally, and if you've watched, really any game outside of the last one, that's what you've seen. Fred Warner jumping routes. He had an interception against Cleveland where he jumped that underneath route and had a nice pick. Unfortunately, didn't run it all the way back to the crib, but they are between Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. Like they'll make plays. If you ask 49er fans or anyone associated with 49ers, they'll tell you that 49ers have the best linebacker tandem in the NFL. They're fast, they're aggressive, they're hard hitting, and they make plays as well. They kind of set the tone for the Niners. So I think a lot of tackles in this last game, but fortunately for Minnesota, Kirk Cousins was just really quick with getting the ball out of his hands. Like that was the fastest from like the snap to the ball getting out of his hands. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins did it faster than anyone else that has played the 49ers this year. So that might be like one of the recipes to kind of maybe, slow down a Nick Bosa or, slow down or Javon Hargraves or, prevent Eric Armstead or even, Randy Gregory from getting to your quarterback and kind of pressuring him and speeding up his clock. If you can really get the ball out quick and take the underneath passes, but you got to hope that those 49 linebackers aren't just sitting there.
Yeah.
For the fans at home that may be familiar with obviously the big stars for the 49ers, who's like a under the radar star on offense and defense that could have an impact in this game?
Oh man, I would probably say Jawan Jennings. He's not this explosive guy, but he's definitely had to fill in for Deebo Samuel in his absence. He's more of a big slot, and my co-host on Locked On 49ers and I, we kind of joke about him being more like a tight end. You know what I'm saying? He ran like a 4.7, but he's a really good run after catch guy. He's a physical blocker. He will catch the ball. He'll give you a little something on routes, but he's really kind of a big, slow, let me get to this spot. And Kyle Shanahan finds ways to kind of utilize him right now. Like now, if you're talking about Deebo Samuel being out there, Jennings might have 2 catches in the game. But with no Deebo, they'll utilize him more. And you guys might come away with thinking like, hey, man, this is a nice little receiver, kind of like Auden Tate was for the Bengals, some years back, right? Like just kind of that bigger guy, not fast, but can make some plays, be a little physical, but not gonna run away from anybody.
Right. I feel like that's one of the things too. I was looking at that, and part of your run scheme, one of the things that we're in 11 personnel so much that we're asking wide receivers to do like reach blocks. And I thought one of the bigger problems that we had, we let our best blocking wide receiver go in Stanley Morgan. We don't really have like a wide receiver that could block. And I feel like a lot of the struggling in the running game is come from that. Did you have a person that you wanted to highlight on defense that you think is maybe under the radar?
Yeah, I really think, a lot of people kind of know about Talanoa Hufanga. He was an All-Pro last year. I think first team All-Pro as well. But the other safety is pretty good, man. Tayshaun Gibson, he's been around the NFL for a long time, been on several teams. I think he played for definitely played for the Jaguars. There's some other NFL teams. It's either the Bears or the Browns, but he's played on quite a few teams. Tayshaun Gibson has been good for the 49ers. Last year, he had like 4 interceptions. This year, he's already picked off 1, if not 2 passes. He's a guy that's going to be around the ball. Again, they have these safeties that aren't like super versatile in the sense of being able to, do a lot of man coverage, say like a Daxton Hill, right? Like Dax Hill, you can put him in man coverage. He can guard slots. He can be 2 high safety, single high. Like Dax Hill can kind of do it all. 49ers don't have that type of safety, but with the safeties, if they're able to kind of sit back and play 2 high, and they're really good at reading routes and jumping underneath concepts. So Gibson might be someone who, again, he's been in the league for 10, 11, 12 years, however long he's been. But I think he might be a little underrated in the 49ers defense because everybody thinks of Nick Bosa or Fred Warner and Greenlaw and then Hufanga, and everybody forgets about the veteran Tayshaun Gibson.
Yeah, I think you brought up Dax Hill too. I just thought like it was funny. Our coaches, our defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, I think is probably the best defensive coordinator in football. I feel like part of what we're doing currently right now is all predicated on scheme. Eli Apple got a bad rap, but he actually played really good when he was here with the Bengals, whatever. But the corners that are there now, a matchup to really look for. If Deebo was there, it would have been pay-per-view. But Cam Taylor-Britt versus Ayuk, I think it's going to be a matchup to watch because Cam Taylor-Britt is literally like the guy that we've been putting on any number ones. He had a real good matchup with DK that I thought he won. He did really good. He in the playoffs against Stephon Diggs, like that's the matchup to watch out for. On the other side, and then I was thinking about Dax Hill because the coaches said that they feel more comfortable with him lined up on tight ends and stuff. So Dax Hill probably on Kittle. But there's some guys too, and I think the linebackers, you're right. I think you have the best linebacker tandem, I think, in football. Our linebackers too, you're going to see, Christian McCaffrey is really going to test them, but Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt are like graded wise, PFF coverage wise and all that, like at the top of the league, and just the plays that they made in big games. We really, 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 really like those guys a lot too. And this is a real good test because I want to see like sideline to sideline. Are they going to be able to get out there in the flats with Christian McCaffrey? Is Pratt going to be able to carry him on a wheel route? Is he going to be able to, so there's a lot of different things that we're very interested in seeing too. But we got some studs too. And I think you guys have got a real good team. So this is the game of the week. And I'm really excited, guys. And I'm very glad you came on, Eric. Can you tell everybody where they could find your stuff, where you could find your social media, the pod, and everything.
Yeah, y'all can find me on Twitter at Eric_Crocker. Also, again, I mentioned it a couple times, but one of the hosts, Locked On 49ers, #1 49ers podcast in the world. So it feels pretty cool to say that. We're consistently up there, right up there at the top, more weeks than not. And yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Eric Crocker. I am about to start putting out more draft content. Like when you throw out names like that's how I know about Dax Hill. I watched a lot of him at Michigan. Evaluating his film, what he did well.
DJ Turner.
Even the physicality for a smaller guy. You talked about Cam Taylor, Britt. I watched him at Nebraska. Yep, Nebraska. Yeah, when he was out there on the outside playing corner. So I'm about to start putting out more draft content. Get back to kind of what I was doing more so a couple years ago.
For sure, bro. Well, we appreciate it, man. Best of luck on Sunday. Hope you guys have a clean bill and get out the game with no injuries. But appreciate you, Croc, for coming on again, bro.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yes,
that was
sir.
awesome, bro. We need to do more crossovers, honestly. I really feel like that.
For sure. Yeah, that was pretty dope. I mean, got a lot of insight. I feel like the biggest insight was Brock Purdy might be playing, y'all. Like a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you ain't seen it on Twitter today?
A lot of people talking about Sam Darnold and all of that. Looks like he might be playing.
Let me fill you in. So Adam Schefter came out with a report earlier today. This is earlier today. He came back yesterday after he came out with his initial report. Then he came back and said that, on the contrary, 25% of the players have had a 6-day turnaround, and it wouldn't be that far-fetched like he originally thought for Brock Purdy to play. Brock Purdy went full yesterday, and he went limited classified today. He's done all the throws, and he was a part of the walkthrough. There's most people that now are starting to circle. The only thing that's making me feel like he might not is because of the line with Vegas went from 5.5 to 3. And I haven't seen it move yet. If anybody's listening to this right now and it changed or whatever, you let me know. But I thought that was directly affected off the Purdy one. If Purdy was playing, I think the line moves back. So that's the one thing that I have been paying attention to. But that was a lot of that going on our end. Chase Brown shows up on the injury report today for us too. And now he's questionable for playing from the running back position. Outside of that, we got a pretty clean bill of health on our end. The only person that didn't practice was Akeem Davis-Gaither.
That sucks with Chase Brown because a lot of people kind of felt like Callahan today was hinting at there needing to be a guy emerge from that backup running back room, to contribute. So it just sucks that Chase Brown, I personally thought Chase Brown would be that guy. Now, it's no secret we're in the Chris Evans hive. We respect Travion, but I actually thought it would be, Chase Brown could be that guy. But unfortunately, it's looking like
I prefer Evans, bro. I'm gonna keep it.
I always prefer Evans for sure.
I prefer Evans all day, bro. I feel like the twitchiness because of the mixing style, and he's just getting the tough yardage on a 3-4. The jump cut guy, I feel like that would just really throw off a defense and mess up the timing, bro. I really hope that they go Chris Evans. I was talking to a guy earlier today, and he was like, man, the Bengals need to implement more two running back looks, split back looks. And I just think Chris Evans coming out of the backfield, I want to test those lines.
We've been saying that forever, right?
Forever, bro. But seeing Jamar Chase in motion, doing it a line like that, and then seeing Chris Evans in the slot like the last week or whatever, I feel like by Callahan acknowledging that some other running back should get some touches, I thought it was like, okay, that's a door open for somebody to get some of these touches.
Right.
I still think that Mixon could go crazy. I think if they in this game, it's not about like if they can get big. Everybody keeps on focusing on these big explosive plays, but like Eric was just saying, just getting the run just to go off and do whatever else that they want to do. Of course, you have to be efficient to get first downs, but if they could set up some runs just to keep the corners honest and give them something to think about, that in itself is a killer plan to get the Jamar Chases and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd's open.
I feel like the offense this week is really trying to get their swag back. It seems like they're kind of a little bit more vocal, a little bit more confident. I think that this could be a game, bro, like that the offense is going to have its coming out party. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this 49ers team. I'm not saying that they're going to put up 40 or something like that, but I do think this is going to be the game where we finally see it kind of come together with, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, this offense just looking like the unit that we thought that they would be. And I think the 49ers, especially if Brock Purdy plays, you're going to see that from them as well, because that offense is predicated, just like Croc said, they hit you with those zone runs, but they're always going to take that play action. Purdy's going to roll out to the left, and he's going to be looking for George Kittle or Ayuk 20 yards down the field, and he's going to take that jump shot every time. So I think the Bengals offense knows that, and they know that they're going to be aggressive, and they know that they have to be aggressive on their end. So I think, what are you thinking, bro? I know we don't like to jinx the team or anything like that, but how are you feeling like the offense is? Is this an offense game for you? Is this a defense game? How are you seeing this game play out right now?
I think it's a little bit of both. And, a lot of 2022 had some moments like that. The Patriots game, we started off real crazy. And in the second half, remember, it fell off. Buccaneers game, I think you were there. Started off weak, come back second half, go crazy. I think it's going to frustrate us some, if I'm being honest, because they're just trying to get into that rhythm. Once they get that rhythm and pick up off of the Seahawks drives that they had, that's the rhythm, that's the pocket that I'm talking about. Once they get into that, bro, I just feel like they'll be fine, and I think they'll do enough to win. I don't feel like it's going to be some explosion, because I just think that the 49ers defense, to me, I get it. They haven't been getting sacks and stuff like that. They're still fourth in the National Football League in pressures. Right. And so he talked about Hargrave a little bit. Everybody's going to be talking about Nick Bosa. I'm not saying that Nick Bosa isn't that dude. I'm really looking at that Hargrave and Volson matchup, because it kind of reminds me of when Volson was matched up with Cam Hayward. There's some moves and some swims that he could do inside that I'm really worried about in that regard. And that in itself disrupts what the Bengals offense wants to do. And those are the things that I think might be kind of frustrating. As far as the matchup on wide receiver versus corner, we didn't really get a chance to talk to him about it. But I feel like it's a match made in heaven where the offense should go crazy on them. It's just about them having enough time to get it to them. This is the same dude, we call him Charizard on Twitter, but Chardavius Ward is the same dude that Jamar Chase put 266 yards on when he was with the Chiefs. Y'all got to understand that this is a matchup. If the Bengals can get the ball in enough time, he was talking about Kirk Cousins getting the ball off fast. He was still talking. I wanted to tell him that, Joe Burrow gets the ball off faster. But to me, it's not about how fast you can get the ball off. It's about Joe Burrow accurately getting the ball down the field, and they might have to chip on those ones on both sides, like I saw the Vikings do, to give Jamar the one-on-ones down the field. And I'm not really worried about Orlando Brown's side or anything like that. I'm just more so concerned with Burrow being comfortable enough to do what he's got to do. And when he is, he can't be off target like he was in the second half of that Seahawks game. I talked about this on Twitter. A lot of people blame Zach Taylor. Joe Burrow was not accurate to the level that I'm used to or I'm accustomed to seeing. Sure. And he's got to be that, and he can't be rushed. He says he's 100% healthy. All of that's out the door. And now it's time to go and do what we said that we were going to do, as regarded as a top 3, top 2 quarterback in the National Football League. You're right. This should be their coming out party. I just don't want the offensive line or mistakes or stupid stuff or fourth down decisions going for it. Punting it away and you're at the 40-yard line. I don't need none of that stupid stuff. They got to go and do what they're supposed to do. And if they do that, then I don't think they'll frustrate us. But part of me just says that I don't know, man. He might clam up just a little bit because it is the 49ers, and that's what I don't want them to do. They got to go balls to the wall and go and do this and understand that the defense got their back.
Yeah, speaking of the defense having their back, our man G. Will from Spaces, if you guys have ever heard him, if not, follow us on Twitter at the Wincinnati Pod, at Zim Hude, and at New Stripe City. G. Will kind of talked about the backside contain. That's been one of the reasons that they've kind of struggled against the run, especially when those runners hit the edge and just really make these explosive runs and plays happen. That is something that this defense has to do. They're going to do a lot of these zone runs. That's what they mainly like to do. They really don't like to run the gap runs at all. That is going to be a major key, man. And I don't want to put my eggs all in that basket because we kind of talked about CMC is one of the best running backs in the league. But he is the key, bro. Like I get a lot of people want to talk about IU. I get people want to talk about Kittle, but I think the key to stopping them in the engine is Christian McCaffrey, man. They just gonna have to do something to try to take him away. Are there any other interesting matchups that you see from this game? Like, what do the Bengals have to prove in this game? Is Eric Shiesty showing up? Like, what are your additional thoughts that you have on this game?
Man, I just want the Bengals to win it. I honestly, I swear, I see like some of our ops in the comments and stuff. I swear, if they win this game, I told you this, I really feel like they can go on a run. I really feel like they could do it all over again. This, to me, is the best team. I get it. Debo's not there, but I think Purdy probably plays. I really do. They're hiding him practicing. He's practicing like pretty full, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. This is Luke Dini. You know, like if they can win this game, I just feel like it just prepares them to go on this run. Like there's no other teams that are left to me that have the talent level of that. Now, are there teams like the Ravens have really good scheme or Browns have a really good secondary and all these different on Myles Garrett? Sure. But overall, this is to me the best team that is on the whole entire schedule. If they did this one, and like you said, it was the coming out party of this team, you know, like, and then think about this. Next week, you get Charlie Jones back. That's another important piece that I really think that people are sleeping on. I wish he was there for this game, but Charlie Jones in this offense, from a special team standpoint, is going to do wonders for this team. And then also some of the end around and gadget stuff, I think that they'll give him some of that stuff. And I think that it's going to be really, really important for the Bengals moving forward. And they can go on a run, man. They just really need it. I think this game is going to be tough. I don't care.
I think you're right.
If Sam Darnold plays, I don't care. I still think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, I think you're right, bro. I think that a lot of people are forgetting the Bengals have already started the run, right? They've won 2 straight games. They were just 1-3. This is a team that Tyler Boyd literally was saying before those 2 games ago, okay, when we start to go on this streak, everybody's going to be back on us later on. Hey, dog, check your calendar. It's October. Yeah. Last time I checked, games and divisions and all of that are won in December and November. And this team's resume during those months is pretty damn good. So if you think that the AFC North or you think that the AFC, you know, the seeds are set, I don't know what the hell you've been watching the last couple of seasons. This is
way too early for that.
And everybody else that's one of the things that I've noticed just being in spaces and quote unquote neutral spaces, which means not Bengal spaces. There's a lot of people that are saying like the Bengals always get off to a slow start, but this is when they go on those runs and we know what to expect. So we're going to see what happens, but I think you're right, bro. The run has already started. A lot of people aren't really putting that together.
Bengals 12-2 after the bye the last 2 seasons.
12-2 after the bye the last 2 seasons. And it's very similar. You kind of talked about they don't like us to talk about last year and everything, but it just seems like deja vu because a lot of y'all was saying the same thing. Well, that back end of the schedule, that's a murderer's row. And what did they do to it? They ran through it. They ran through it. We were the murderers last year.
Bro,
Bengals we could be the murderers this year.
Bengals have won 3 out of the last 4. And think about this. If you were to knock out the 49ers, after that, you got a hobble Bills team with no Milano, no Daquan Jones, no Tre'Davious White. That's not really playing 100%. I know on paper that's a tough matchup, but we like the matchup from a coverage standpoint. Then after that, are you taking Burrow or are you taking Stroud? I'm gonna take Burrow. I think anybody.
That's a solid collection of teams. If they get the win against,
I mean, look, they're not going to say that if we beat them, but then check this out. Then you got the Ravens. Before the season, everybody would have said you split. You lost to them by 3 points. Would have hurt Joe Burrow. I like my chances. I think the Bengals at home against the Steelers, we own one. I know that they're going to be coming with their best, but I just think offensively they can't hang with us. I think the Jaguars secondary gives up the most passing yards. I think out of all the secondaries in all of the NFL, even though they have a really good overall offense, defense or whatever. Then you got the Colts without Anthony Richardson. Then you got a Vikings team that's in sell mode. Then you got the Steelers again, who I think we could sweep. And I like my chances against the Chiefs anytime we play them. I really do. And then you close it out with the Browns. I really feel like the 49ers are the one team out of all them teams that we named that offensively and defensively, they got all the tools to go on like a Super Bowl. Whereas most of the teams that I just named, they're good teams, but I just don't think that they're on that level.
Yeah, no,
I could
I
be
think
wrong.
that is a streak right now is definitely plausible, especially with us being number one healthy. So I'm gonna knock on some wood right now for that. But Bengals are still healthy right now. They're getting healthier, and they're starting to stockpile wins, man. And that's not what you want to see if you're the ops. So shout out to Eric for coming on. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we throw it to our sponsors at Midwest Best Barbecue?
I wanted to shout out my boy Akoma. He had gave a super chat, and I think he was thinking like Eric Crocker. I think he thought he was like a Bengals fan. He was like, "Where's this orange at?" or something like that. Or maybe he was
Yeah, I
just
got
trolling.
you.
But yeah, shout out to Mikey's burner. He said, "Eric, where your orange at, man? Who they?" So I don't know if he was trolling or what, but appreciate the super chat, bro. But I saw that. But good looking, bro. Good looking. That's all I got.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna go ahead and toss it to our friends at Midwest Best Barbecue. Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Need someplace to hang out and watch the game and eat some great food? Stop by Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. They got you handled, whether it's that you want a brisket sandwich, a brisket salad, some chicken wings. They got you. Definitely get some of those G-Funks. They're well known for those. The Uno wings. If you're into the Louisiana dry rub, they've got those. They've got mac and cheese. They got all the sides that you can think of and dream of. Definitely be sure to stop in and let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Now, before we get out of here, I saw an interesting topic for us to discuss in the chat. And before I get into that, I'm going to answer this super chat from Diddy. Diddy says, what is the next home game y'all are attending? He needs our autograph. Which one is the next one?
Autograph. I'm trying to figure out. I think I'm gonna try to get to that Bills game. Not what is that, like 10 days from now? I think that's gonna go crazy. Just got to work out some stuff with my schedule and the fan, but that's the next game. And after that, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It might be to the playoffs, bro. Like,
yeah. I'm gonna be at the next home game might be the playoffs for me too. Still trying to work out the logistics. I wanted to go to the Bills game, but it is right around the corner. It is the holiday season, so I'm gonna try to work things out with the wife. So if I can get there, Diddy, we definitely can link. Regardless, whenever we in the city, we can always link. And yeah, you don't need an autograph, bro. You already know we locked in forever, man.
I'm definitely not giving you no autograph. We about to go kick it and have a drink.
But the topic that I saw came from Mike, and Mike asked what our thoughts were on the trade deadline. I know that this has been kind of a buzzy topic. A lot of people have tweets from former Bengals and their former Bengals parents saying that they pretty much want to come back to the Bengals. Bengals have had an issue at the tight end position, haven't been getting much return from that. They've also had some issues. There was a rumored trade about a 3-tech from a highly prominent person in the Bengals community. Are these positions that you could see the Bengals realistically making a push to make a deal for? Could they go for a tight end? Could they go for a 3-tech? Is there some other position I'm not thinking about that they could go after as well?
I think that they could go for a tight end. The running back one, I just everybody this is a league wide thing. People just aren't valuing running backs right now. Like, what did Dalvin Cook go for? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you know what I'm saying, if a guy like of that stature who is like, you know, C-list now at this point in his career is going for like late round picks, nobody's giving up.
You just had to bring up Dalvin Cook, huh? That sounds like a reason that you brought him. It just had to be Dalvin.
Because I'm trying to illustrate like how a guy that's really, I'm sorry, bro. I know that's your boy, but I'm trying to illustrate like even a guy that still got juice, that's still good, isn't going for like, you know what I'm saying? So what will make them give up anything? Excuse me, you wouldn't even give up like a 7 for like, you know what I mean? For anything.
Crazy though, the last rumor I seen him linked to, you know, they was talking about to the Browns. I was like, ugh. I mean,
I seen Browns today. Derrick Henry been 3 teams. It's been the Bills, the Ravens, and really the Ravens.
D Hen to the Browns?
And the Browns is the 3rd team. I don't, but to me, I don't know if that, like, I know that's cool if PJ Walker's the quarterback though. Like, I think everybody knows a run's coming. And even if Deshaun Watson is back, he's not throwing accurately. So, like, to me, D Hen to the Ravens though, Lord have mercy. The threat of like, please don't let them do that. But
I heard from our guy Eric that's a big possibility, and it was before a lot of these, you know, ML footballs of the world were tweeting it out. He kind of shared something with us that was like, yeah, they definitely trying to get the.
You gotta think too, because think about it. They ain't got no Dobbins on the Bucks. They ain't paying nobody, you know, at the running back position. And at this point in Derrick Henry's career, like you could get him at a pretty decent price.
You know what? Yeah. I gotta check something real quick.
But can I say the tight end thing real quick? If the Bengals have
get him, bro. They gonna get him. I'm gonna tell you why. Because he about to hit 30 in January. You might as well call him a Raven. They love him old, bro.
They like them old boys. But look, the tight end position for the Bengals currently have 9 picks. They're going to get another one because I'm going to tell y'all right now, Jonah Williams, I don't know if y'all seen the tackle market right now. Jonah Williams is about to go get like $100 million deal. People that think he's going to sign back to the Bengals, I think is like, to me, I think that is a very low chance. I think they have a better chance of getting a Reader extension. Jonah Williams is about to be a hot commodity, bro. Like the free agent market for tackles is horrible. So with that said, you're going to get that extra 3rd round compensatory. Now, the type of tight end that I think that they should trade for is like a Gesicki, where it'd be like a 7th round, 6th round swap. Yeah, he's on a 3.5. You only pay half of it anyway. Somebody like that. And the only reason why I think they would do it is if they beat the 49ers and the fact that he's on a 1 year and everybody's been relatively healthy. Remember, they keep that money to the side in case of injuries so that they can go and get people, but they've been healthy. So it's like, why would you not? If you beat the Niners, it would show the front office that, okay, this team is for real. Right. Let's go on a run. I know it's hard to implement this stuff, you know, like after the bye or whatever, but bro, like I just feel like they could work him in later on. A running back, I feel like you could just go get Leonard Fournette down the street and put him on a practice squad at the very least, or go get, I think somebody like Michael Carter from the Jets. Like I'm talking a low level, like 7th round swaps. Yeah. Like ain't no money, like nothing big. Like that's how I look at those. Those are the 2 positions that I think they would. If they wanted to really make a splash, somebody like Jeff, I brought up DJ Reader. Mm-hmm. Jeff Simmons, bro, in a Bengals jersey. In my mind, because he is getting, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he like 28 or something like that? So he's pretty much in his prime, almost headed out of it. I don't know. And then you're accepting the contract. I would be looking at Jeff Simmons or Darnold.
He's actually 26.
Okay, so that's 1st round type, second round, like I don't know. That one's super far-fetched. So let me backtrack on that one. At 26, that's crazy. But that's the type of move, bro. I think if they did that, though, that money literally is the money that they probably would have gave Reader, and he could be the Reader replacement. But imagine him doing the rest of the year. I know that's like super out there. Danico Autry, I'm sorry. is a 3-tech guy that has the ability to go outside. That's what the Titans too. I think you could do like a third, fourth, something like that and get him. I really do. So, but he's going to be looking for a new contract too. I'm not familiar with all the details, but from a 3-tech position, I think that's the one position that I would get active in. Everybody keeps on screaming tight end and running back. It would be low level for me. It's really, if they added juice to the 3-tech in a rotation with Cam Sample, let Miles Murphy, maybe you take away snaps from him, but you're in a Super Bowl run. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because I think, like you're saying, it needs to make sense. Like the contracts have to line up. Whereas like a Mike Gesicki, I think, like you said earlier, makes perfect sense, right? More sense than a Hayden Hurst, unless Hayden Hurst wants to, change his contract up, which I'm not saying he wouldn't. But I just think Mike Gesicki being on that discount deal, them being able to still have some flexibility and add him for a late round pick is definitely doable. I would love to have a guy like probably Jonathan Allen, like someone like that to bring in from the Commanders that are kind of reeling. I don't think it's realistic though, because I don't see them paying that contract or anything like that. So it has to be a situation where it kind of makes sense from a competitive standpoint and a talent standpoint, but also from a contract standpoint. But we'll see, man. The Bengals, we did have OBJ on. He said that the Bengals are doing some things. Maybe they surprise us. I didn't expect us to sign Orlando Brown Jr. I know a lot of people don't expect them to make a trade at the deadline. We'll see. I believe it happens right before Halloween. It's October 26th. So We'll see what happens.
If they're saying, you said a prominent figure talked about Aaron Donald. If they had just a call for Aaron Donald, you would call at least to ask about a Jeff Simmons or ask about a Chase Young. So if they at any point ever said that or ever did that, and that's valid, then you would 100% call these teams and ask them, and it's just worth a conversation at the very least. Sure. Can they get it done? I don't know.
They definitely would have to be talking about something. I mean, there's some tight ends out there that they could.
Man, it's a lot of tight ends, bro. It's a lot of tight ends that I think can help him. And they're in the mold that I think Burrow wants. He wants a big target, tall guy like like Hunter Henry. Like these are the names that are tossed around.
Henry, Mo Alley Cox is out there. I'm just saying, like
you wouldn't give up nut. Mo Alley Cox can block, like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you got these guys that kind of could fit into their scheme, what they're doing. And I think right now, the reason why that's coming up is because the Bengals aren't utilizing the tight end or the running back position in the receiving game at all this year. And to me, that's a big problem why the offense is stagnant. And I just think Burrow doesn't feel comfortable throwing to the current weapons.
For sure. Well, that is going to bring the Wincinnati podcast to a wrap. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit that alert for notifications, because we may be doing a post-game show. We still have to get the logistics figured out, but we do know that you guys want that. So hit that bell, because if we do decide to do it, you'll be notified first. Definitely be sure to share this podcast with any of your friends, fellow Bengals fans. We truly appreciate that. We try to grow this as much as you guys allow us to, and you guys are a big part of that. So we need you guys to contribute and help spread the word, spread the gospel about Ace and Zim and the Wincinnati podcast. We appreciate that. Definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. And before we get out of here, Zim, was there anything that you wanted to tell the people?
I'm good to go, man. Let's go get this win. We on to the Bay. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. And Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still going to give you the same AJ.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I got to get your top 5 receiver.
Better, man.
Good. Watch out for us.